Hey guys, well, I just harvested just half of a 14-foot bed, and I've got 2 more beds that have carrots in them. I am absolutely swamped in carrots, so I have to pressure can carrots today. I'm having surgery tomorrow. I may not be posting another video for a couple weeks. So just let me have a heads up on that. If I don't post for a couple weeks, I will be back. But life calls, and this is real life. This isn't Hollywood, make-believe, fairy princes, Walt Disney World, live in a bubble. This is real life, and I have some health issues that I'm taking care of, and I'm having surgery tomorrow. So I may be down and out, and I may not be able to speak for a few weeks. So I'm just giving you guys a heads up. So what I'm doing is I washed really well my carrots, and I will let me bring you around here. I'm hoping not to make you dizzy. These are the carrots that I brought in. I've got an entire wagon full of carrots, and I haven't even pulled all the carrots out of one 14-foot bed. Some of the carrots are humongous. I did really well this year. I've got purple carrots and orange carrots, and as you can see, I am busting at the seams, and I've already made about 18 jars of tomato sauce. I've got tomatoes there, I got tomatoes here, I've got a 10-gallon bucket out on the porch, I've got an entire wagon full of carrots that need washed. So what I'm doing is I washed really well, I chopped the ends off and peeled, and as they get thicker, I cut them in half, and I'm cutting them pretty thin, about, let me get this on camera, about that, that thick, whoops, dang it, about that thick, not real thick, and I'm cutting them and stuffing them in the jars cold. Over here, I have a pan with hot sugar water, salt, and it's Himalayan salt that I use. Oops, let's hold this up here. Himalayan salt and 2 packets of dried onion soup mix, and this is sugar water because that will maintain the sweetness, the natural sweetness in the carrots. I like sweet carrots. So let me fill up these. I'll show you a little bit of me chopping up a carrot and then putting it in this jar right here, and then I'm gonna let you go, and I'll bring you back when I've got my jars full. And then I will bring my pressure canner in the house and get that prepped and ready to put my jars in it and show you the process of pressure canning carrots. Now, every ball canning book says that for my zone, I'm in Iowa, 10 pounds of pressure for 30 minutes. But I'm going to pressure can mine for 45 minutes, and we'll cover that when I get to that stage. But I know that there's a lot of people out there, because I was one of them. I am not a 30-year experienced canner. I just started canning a couple years ago, and so I thought I'd bring you guys along for those that are newbies, canning babies, and you're scared and afraid that you're going to blow your house up if you use your pressure canner. I have the All-American, and so I'll just bring you along the process to watch what I'm doing. So as you can see, I have this, let me pull this down so you can see it better. And I try to shove some of the carrots like down the sides because it makes more room to put some more slices. I really pack my jars, and I leave a 1-inch head space from the top. I shut the burner off on my sugar water with the dried onion soup mix and Himalayan salt, and I'm going to let that cool down so it's not scalding, because these are cold jars. I find it much easier to do pressure canning with cold jars. Put into the pressure canner, the water isn't hot in there yet, and then get everything set up, and then let it come to pressure, let it release a heavy, steady stream from the spout on top of the pressure canner for 10 minutes before I start my timer. And I just find it's easier to do things cold. I did wash my jars with hot soapy water and rinse them out. And that's all I'm doing, because when you pressure can, you don't have to sterilize everything. So I'm trying to show you, this is the thickness. They're not very thick. That's all the thicker I do mine. Sometimes they get a little bit thicker. But I typically try to keep them thin. And once they start getting too big, because my carrots are huge, I chop them so they're not humongous chunks. I love sweet carrots. I use them in soups, like homemade chicken noodle soup, homemade minestrone soup, homemade vegetable beef stew, mulligan stew. I also like carrots just with melted butter, salt, and pepper on them after you boil them, you know. These I'm going to cut in half because they're, you know, large slices. I shove them down to the sides because I want a really good 1-inch headspace. I'm going to cram it all down there so I have that 1-inch headspace that I like to have. That allows for expansion so I don't get jars that explode in the canner, the pressure canner. And so I'm going to continue to do this, and I'll bring you back when I get my jars loaded. Okay guys, I've got all my jars filled. Let's see if I can pan down here and let you see. Those are all my carrots. Now, see if I can get this back to where you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now we're going to take the sugar water with some Himalayan salt in it and dried onion soup mix. And we're going to fill these jars with a 1-inch headspace. And this water is not boiling or scalding anymore. I let it come back down to room temperature because I like dealing with cold jars. That's just how I prefer. I think it's easier to deal with it as everything is cold. I'm going to move these as I fill them. Sorry if my head's in the way. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 quarts. I've got tons more carrots to do, but this is all I'm going to be able to get done today. Because like I said, I have surgery tomorrow, so... And I've still got a bunch of cleaning I need to do. Move this one over. Okay, we're going to put water. We want about 3 inches in the canner. I always add some vinegar. It can be apple cider vinegar. It can be white vinegar. And I put about 1/4 cup of vinegar in here to keep my jars white and clear. Quiet, please. Sashi, be a good girl. Okay, so now we're going to be adding 3 inches of water in the bottom with 1/4 cup of vinegar. And I want to get a little bowl of vinegar water because I want to wipe the rims of the jars. So let me pour a little bit of that in here. So we're going to add a little bit of vinegar in here and a little bit of water. And I'm gonna bring you back here so you can see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So now we're gonna wipe the rims really well of our jars. With some vinegar water. And we're gonna grab some lids over here. I'm gonna wipe this one because I have that in my hand. That one on. And vinegar water. There. That one's on. Okay, now we're going to bring you over here. This is how I have the water, and when I stick my hand in, it's only that deep. That's only about, I would say, 2 inches, so I'm going to add a little bit more water. I like having 3 inches of water in the bottom of my pressure canner. I think it does a much better job venting and steaming. And I have in the bottom the rack to hold the jars off the bottom. There we go. So this is what it looks like in there now. The water level is right here, so when I stick my hand in the bottom, it is now up to this. Let me put it down. It is now up to here when I stick my finger in the bottom of the pan. So whether that's, you know, a little over 3 inches or whatnot, so be it. But I find that my pressure canner works a lot better when I have a little bit more water in it. And I always wipe with vinegar water just to kind of get any residue that might be off around the lip of the pressure canner. Any dirt, any dust. Since I store this out in my attached garage to the house, which is where my pantry is. And that's what came off of it. And then I'm going to take some canola oil. And I'm just going to take a finger that I stuck in the canola oil. And I'm just going to go around the lip of this, just so it doesn't stick when it's done and I can get the lid off. I don't want excess, so anything that you see excess, just kind of wipe it with your oil hand. Now comes putting the jars in. Okay, I'm going to be able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 quarts out of there. So now I'll put the lid back on that and put this back here. Okay, get my lid. You're going to put the lid. Yeah.
Oh, did you get my charcoal?
I think so. He's out in the shop and I'm recording right now. So here is the indent on the All-American, and there's an arrow up here. Let me bring it here to show you. Can you see that? Right there's the arrow. Right here's the indent. So that's how you know when you're putting your thing on, you want to, and here's a latch here that is going to latch underneath here. So you want to twist it. The arrow is now lined up with the indentation, and this is now under here. Okay, so now we're going to do opposite. So we're going to do these two, and we're going to tighten them just slightly. We'll tighten them more after we get them all. This we're going to tighten, but not super tight, just enough to hold it on. We'll go through and retighten. And then these two, which are opposite sides. Okay, now we're gonna tighten, 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 just like that. Now, we're gonna turn this on high. I have a gas stove. We're gonna make sure that this is centered on the burner so that the flame is shooting right in the middle underneath the pressure canner. I've already blown through the vent steam hole here. I blew through it, and I always put my hand under the lid when I'm blowing to make sure I can feel it, because you don't want that blocked. And we're just going to leave this on high. It's going to take probably about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on your altitude, but it takes about 20 to 30 minutes. And then you will start seeing this with a constant stream of steam. When you see that constant stream of steam, that is when you're going to set your thing for 10 minutes. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to say, oh, I see that there's a constant stream of steam. So you're going to set your timer for 10 minutes. When your 10 minutes goes off, that's when, depending on your altitude level, mine is 10 pounds. For Iowa. So when it steams for 10 minutes and it's done steaming for 10 minutes, that's when I will put my 10 pounds of pressure on. But I will not do that until it has steamed steadily for 10 minutes. So we're just going to leave it here, and I'll bring you back when it's a constant stream of steam and show you that. Okay, I'm going to have you focus on the steam, and it's kind of hard to see, so you might have to get a flashlight, or let me hold this and see if you can see the steam. I'm using a headlamp trying to show you the steam. Come over here, you can see it. Let me turn this so I can see if you're seeing it. Alright, let's see. Right here is where I want you. Okay. Can you see that? See the steam coming out of there? That's why I use a headlamp. Because it's not always this, when you're a new pressure canner user, you're not always sure if it's steaming. Okay? Do you see that? I'm shining the light on it. If I take the light away, this is what it looks like. You can't even see it. If you put a light here, you can see it's occasionally spewing a little bit of water, and you can see some steam coming out of it. Okay? So we're going to time that for 10 minutes. Let me turn you here so you can see. Let me pop this up so so you can see the thing right here. So we're gonna set the timer for 10 minutes. Like I said, you can't really see the steam unless you're in the right light. So I get a headlamp or a flashlight so that it's easier to see. And I stand on this side of it because for some reason it's not always easy. I guess you can see it. You can see some steam coming through. Maybe that'll help you if I put it like this. The light. You see the steam? Oh shoot. Alright, I'll be right back. I gotta take a phone call. Okay, can you see it steaming? I'm gonna pull you in here. Let's see if I bring you around this way, if maybe you can see it better. I got some people coming. I called a church that's got a food bank. And I'm giving away free carrots, free tomatoes, free zucchini. Can you see it steaming there? Do you see it? See the steam? That's what you're looking for. That's when you're setting your timer for 10 minutes. So baby pressure canner people out there, this is what you're looking for. That constant steam, and that's when you're setting your timer for 10 minutes. Once that 10 minutes is up, that's when you're going to put your pound of pressure gauge on there. And then you're going to set your timer according to what you're canning and how long you're supposed to can it for. I'll bring you back. Okay folks, the 10 minutes is up. So, now I'm going to take my 10 pounds of pressure and I'm going to put it on here. And I'm not setting my timer yet because I have to get my pressure canner up to 10 pounds of pressure with my weight knocking before I start my timer. So when that happens, when this starts a rocking and this gets up to 10 pounds of pressure, then I will bring you back, okay? Okay, can you see the gauge? It's not up to 10 yet. 10 is right here, 10 pounds of pressure. We're almost there. We're about at 8 pounds of pressure. So we're just waiting for it to get up to 10 pounds of pressure. I have not started no timer. Down, once we're at 10 pounds of pressure, because I don't want to go above 10 pounds of pressure. I want to keep it at a steady 10 pounds. So this is where the gauge is. We're waiting to get up to 10. We're almost there. We are just almost there. Okay, we're there. Now, we want to turn the heat down because we don't want it to end up going over 10 pounds. So, let's see if I can show you. That's what I have it on now. I had it on high. Now I have it on almost the third line, and I may need to turn it down a smidgen more, but we'll see. All you're doing is you're keeping track of this gauge. And now the weight is finally starting to make some sound and do a little bit of rocking. So I'm waiting until that starts click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, and then I'll set my timer. Okay? So let's see if I can scan out so that you're able to see both. I'm going to turn my thing up just a smidgen because I don't want that falling down below 10 and I don't want it going above 11. There we go. See, do you hear? That's my weight. That's what I want. So now I've set my timer because I do it for 45 minutes. All the ball canning books say 30 minutes, but I do mine for 45 because I have some Herkin carrots. When I grow veggies, I don't play around, I grow veggies. My veggies are large veggies, so even though I chop them up and slice them and all that good thing like you saw, I do 45 minutes. So I'll bring you back after the 45 minutes and I'll show you what we do from there. As you can see, I want to note before I shut the video off temporarily, we are on 10 pounds of pressure. Turn it down just a smidgen, not a whole lot. I don't want it to go past that. I want it to stay at that steady 10 pounds of pressure, and I want the weight to keep doing what it's doing. Okay, I'll bring you back in 45 minutes. Okay, do you see how this is rocking constant? That's too much. So that means I need to pull down the heat just a smidgen. It's still on 10 pounds. Yeah, it's on 10 pounds, but that's rocking a little bit too much. So I'm just pulling the heat back just a smidgen, and I wanted to show you this. You still want it rocking, but you don't want it, that's too much. You know, you want it just a nice, constant, and I'm going to turn it down a little more because you want it to kind of take a break for a second and then rock again. Take a break, rock again. And here is the gauge so you can see what the gauge is reading. Let me zoom in. Whoops, let me zoom in. We're still on 10 pounds. See that? So I just turned and pulled the heat down and just, not severely, just a smidgen. Let me see if I can show you my burner. Just a second. Turn this back so I can see what I'm looking at. Okay guys, we have 19, 18 seconds, 15, 14, and as you can see, the rocker's still a-rocking like it's supposed to be, and we are at 10 pounds of pressure. So we're almost done to shut the burner off. There goes our timer. So we're going to shut the burner off. And now we're gonna leave it alone. We are not gonna touch anything until that gauge goes down to 0. And then when that happens, I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna very quickly touch the weighted gauge to see if that's hot when this is all the way to 0. And if it's not scalding hot, then I will take the gauge off and just set it aside and wait another 10 minutes. If it is still hot to touch, really hot, I will leave it alone and not do anything and wait an additional 10 to 15 minutes and then touch it again later, not now. And if it's not scalding hot, then I will take the weighted gauge off, set it aside, and I will just wait for like 10 to 15 minutes. I've even waited 20 minutes before. And then I would release all of the, you know, these things. I don't know what you call them, screw thingies. And then I would take the lid off and aim the lid toward the microwave, not toward me. So our timer's done. And we're just gonna leave it alone until the gauge goes down to 0. I will very quickly, when that goes down to 0, just quickly touch to see if it releases steam. Okay, it is now almost 1 o'clock in the morning because I had more jars than what would fit in there in just one batch. So I just got done a little while ago with my last batch. The gauge is on 0. You use a hot pad, pull the weight off, set it aside. Can you hear? Can you hear that? That's going to help cool it down. Now we're not going to untighten anything. We're just going to leave this sit for 15 to 20 minutes. Then we'll come back and we'll loosen all of these, you know, opposite sides of each other, but we're going to wait about 20 minutes. And here's the ones that I've already canned. Just so that you guys, let me zoom out because I think I got it zoomed in. So here's all the jars. And they've all sealed, every one of them. Yay! That's always wonderful news. Don't those look gorgeous? Them is my sweet carrots. And we have, I think, 4 or 5 more that are in the canner right now. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think I have 12. I don't know. But anyway, I've got a ton more carrots that I haven't even pulled out of the garden yet. This was just a half of a bed today, and I didn't even get them all canned yet. You know. So anyway, I hope that helps kind of ease your nervousness. The new canning babies out there. Because when I first started, I was terrified. I was like, oh man, I'm going to blow my house up. I was so freaked out. If you just follow these steps that you keep seeing me take, you know, vent your thing for 10 minutes. The steam, you know, you have to kind of look really at an angle to see the steam coming out regularly. And then you set your timer for 10 minutes. Then after that, you put your weight on according to where you live and your altitude. And then you don't start your timer to process your food that's in there until the weighted gauge goes, you know, starts rattling. And you are at 10 pounds or 11 pounds depending on where you live. Once it starts rattling and you're at your right poundage for your pressure cooker, then you start your timer and you just turn it down a smidgen. You know, if it goes, let's say you want to be on 10 pounds and it goes to 11, so turn your heat down a little bit. Not massively, but just turn it down a notch or two or a notch and a half. Watch it for a couple minutes. If it falls back down to 10 and that's what you want is the 10 pounds with your weighted 10-pound gauge on there, then you're perfect. And you just, you know, it's not as hard as it looks is what I'm saying. So I hope it helps. All right, guys, blessings.